Hello there, you're tuning into 7 Edition. I'm Sabrina Zainal. Let's take a look at tonight's top stories. Former UMNO Vice President to be charged tomorrow over graft probe. Equanimity to be sold no less than 543 million ringgit. And 9 dead as Turkish train crashes into overpass. We begin with this story. Tan Sri Muhammad Isa Abdul Samad will be charged tomorrow over the purchase of a hotel in Kuching by Federal Investment Corporation, FIC. The former FELDA chairman has also given his assurance to the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, that he will turn up in court. Now, Tan Sri Isa arrived at the MACC headquarters at 10:45 a.m. and left about 20 minutes later. It is learned that the graft busters will be recording his statement today as final preparations before he is charged. The MACC was recently reported to have completed its probe into the 2014 purchase of the Merdeka Palace Hotel and Suites in Sarawak by FIC, which was alleged to have been bought above its actual value. The Merdeka Palace is a 5-star hotel with 213 rooms, bought for 160 million ringgit when it was supposedly worth 110 million ringgit. The Tan Sri Isa, who was also former Negeri Sembilan Menteri Besar and UMNO Vice President, had led FELDA since 2011. Now, the luxury yacht Equanimity will be sold for at a price of no less than 543 million ringgit, which is nearly half of its original price, reportedly worth some 1 billion ringgit. Lawyer Sitpa Selvaratnam, representing the government, and One Malaysia Development Berhad, 1MDB, on the Equanimity case, said the price was set after the yacht was valued by UK-based independent appraiser Winterbottoms. The lawyer said the 543 million ringgit, or 130 million US dollar, will be a guiding price to potential buyers. The government has received a court order to permit the second phase of the judicial sale, which would be on normal sale through private negotiation. The second phase is expected to be completed by March 31st next year. On October 19th, the High Court declared that the Equanimity belonged to two 1MDB subsidiaries and indirectly the Malaysian government after its registered owner failed to show up in court to claim the vessel. The super yacht was brought to Malaysia on August 7th after Indonesian authorities handed it over to Malaysia. It was seized off Bali in February as part of the corruption investigation launched by the US Department of Justice into 1MDB. In other news, a Myanmar national was arrested with 1.1 kilogram of heroin during a police raid at a house in Sungai Division, Sungai Petani, Kedah on Tuesday. According to the police, the suspect started peddling drugs last year with a salary of 60 ringgit a day.
Dia sebagai runner, iaitu pengedar kepada subordinate lah. Ada lagi pihak atasan yang mengupah dia duduk. Rumah tempat kita sebu ni adalah dikira sebagai store. Di-pack, kalau sebab tu tuan-tuan tengok ada alat untuk packing tu sebelum diedarkan di kawasan port di Kelapa Sawit.
Investigations revealed the suspect has been staying in the country for the past 10 years and tested positive for shabu. He is being remanded until December 18th in the drug trafficking probe, but also for staying in the country without valid travel documents. A priest claimed trial at the Kajang Sessions Court to the physical abuse of his 10-year-old son that led to the boy's death last week. The 43-year-old man, a priest at a temple in Semenyih, pleaded not guilty. The accused allegedly committed the offence at a house in Semenyih on December 5th. The offence under the Child Act provides for a maximum fine of 50,000 ringgit or a jail term of up to 20 years or both upon conviction. The court allowed the priest bail of 15,000 ringgit and set January 10th next year for mention of the case. On December 5th, The victim was reportedly taken to Serdang Hospital by his family in an unconscious state and died while receiving treatment. The post-mortem revealed his death was caused by multiple blood traumas to the body. In Kota Baru, Kelantan, an unemployed man was sentenced to 8 years imprisonment and given 3 strokes of the rotan by the Sessions Court. This after he pleaded guilty to the charge of voluntarily causing grievous hurt to a technician last Monday. 48-year-old Mazlisha Mahmood was accused of causing hurt to Nur Mizan Megat Hussein, aged 40, with a sword at the guard post of SK Kampung Tengah, Kuala Krai. The charge under Section 326 of the Penal Code provides an imprisonment for up to 20 years and a fine or whipping upon conviction. Still at the courthouse, an illegal logger who threatened a forestry officer claimed trial at the Kuala Terengganu Magistrates Court to the charge of criminal intimidation. 41-year-old Anuddin Abdul Ghani was accused of threatening to hurt forestry officer Haziq Shahmi Rohaizat over his illegal activities last Saturday. The incident happened when the victim and 2 other officers were conducting checks at the Sungai Rasau Forest Reserve following reports of encroachment and illegal logging activities. The charge under Section 506 of the Penal Code provides a jail sentence for up to 7 years or a fine or both if convicted. Magistrate Nurul Huda Akmal Muhammad allowed bail at 4,000 ringgit and set December 19th for remention of the case. Now, a former Padang Besar District Police Chief was charged with sexual assault on a female inspector and an administrative staff 2 years ago. Superintendent Ghazani Abdul Ghani claimed trial when the charges were read out before Kangar Sessions Court Judge Dato Ibrahim Osman.
According to the charge sheet, 49-year-old Ghazani was accused of forcing the female inspector to perform oral sex on him on October 31st, 2017. He was also charged with using criminal force with the intention to outrage the modesty of the 29-year-old victim. On a separate case, Ghazani, who is now attached to Kedah Police Contingent Headquarters, was also accused of outraging the modesty of a female administrative staff inside a car on July 3rd, 2017. The charge framed under the Penal Code carries a maximum 10 years imprisonment, or a fine, or whipping, or any 2 of the punishment on conviction. The court allowed bail at 30,000 ringgit and fixed January 29th next year for remention.
Moving on, MCA will continue its bid to call for the dissolution of Barisan Nasional. This follows the party's central leadership's announcement that it will send a formal letter on the matter to the Coalition Supreme Council.
The party's Central Committee in a statement said that it had met and unanimously resolved to affirm the resolutions passed at MCA's 65th General Assembly on December 2nd. These resolutions included Resolution 1.1, where the Assembly authorized the Central Committee to pave the way for BN's dissolution. The decision to dissolve BN was made after taking into account Malaysia's current political scenario as well as the views of members. Earlier, MCA President Datuk Sri Wee Ka Siong said the move would pave the way for a new and more effective alliance be formed. He said during the party assembly that BN had suffered a significant tilt in power and every component party needed a reassessment to transform their respective parties. The party has since come under intense fire, especially from UMNO after the resolution was passed. UMNO President Datuk Sri Zahid Hamidi had said MCA has no right to demand for the dissolution of the coalition. Datuk Sri Zahid, who is also BN chairman, said such decisions should be taken by all component parties through consensus. He also advised MCA to leave BN instead of staying on in the coalition and calling for the dissolution.
Khazanah Research Institute, KRI, says the minimum wage policy should not be applied across the board, but rather be specific as to which group should benefit from it. Its lead author and visiting senior fellow, Dr. Lim Lin Lian, said minimum wage should take into account different groups in different cities, the cost of living between different states, and lifestyle of the employees. Citing an example, she said employers cannot be paying the same minimum wage to employees working in Kuala Lumpur and Kuching, as the 2 cities present different rates in cost of living.
Should we be aiming for a minimum wage which is the basic level that keeps you above poverty? Or should we be aiming for what we call a living wage? A living wage is a fair, decent wage that is linked to an acceptable standard of living, so that it's beyond basic food and accommodation and clothing, and gives you access to some standard of living.
Dr. Lim said Malaysia has signed the International Labour Standards (ILO) Convention on Minimum Wage, which provides different bases on how you determine minimum wage. She said the way forward should be towards a living wage rather than the minimum wage. Now next, the Sabah Assembly voted to amend the state's constitution today to allow the Yang di-Pertua Negeri to serve indefinitely versus the previous two-term limit. The state legislature approved the deletion of the clause from the Sabah constitution despite objections from opposition lawmakers. The Assembly convened for a special sitting to amend the state's constitution that had limited each governor to a maximum tenure of 2 terms or equivalent to 8 years. The term limit was introduced in 1987 when Parti Bersatu Sabah had governed the state. The 65-seat assembly recorded 45 votes in favor and 15 votes against the amendment, while 5 lawmakers were absent from the special sitting. Chief Minister Datuk Sri Shafiee Abdal said the amendment meant a return to the original version of the Sabah constitution during the formation of Malaysia, which did not provide a limit. He argued there was no need to limit the term of the state governor as they are appointed only after careful consideration. Now, the Transport Ministry will act the mediator in the passenger service charge PSC dispute between Malaysia Airports Holdings Berhad MAHB and the AirAsia Group. Its Minister Anthony Loke said a discussion involving all parties will be held to find an amicable solution to the dispute. Now, earlier, MAHB's subsidiary Malaysia Airports Sepang Sendirian Berhad filed a lawsuit against AirAsia Group Berhad's unit, AirAsia Berhad, and its long-haul affiliate AirAsia X Berhad for 9.4 and 26.7 million ringgit respectively for alleged PSC arrears. The PSC, paid by departing passengers, is collected by the airlines upon purchase of tickets. It's later passed on to MAHB on the completion of the flight. When we return, another smoke on a plane incident goes viral. The details next. Welcome back. Let's take a look at our daily segment Clickbait, where we take a look at what's trending and making rounds in the cyber world today. Now, Malaysian K-pop fans will be getting a special treat next year after it was announced that one of Korea's biggest bands, Blackpink, will be coming to Kuala Lumpur for the very first time in February. However, barely 24 hours after ticket sales went live yesterday, disgruntled fans are breaking the internet with complaints after encountering error pages when purchasing tickets on concert organizer Magpie Pro's website. What's worse is that available tickets on other websites are being resold at highly unreasonable prices. Now, even if you are a huge fan of Blackpink, you might want to think twice before purchasing these tickets, as it might end up costing you a lot more than you bargained for. The all-girl group will be going on their Asia tour in 2019, and the Malaysian leg of their tour will be at the Melawati Indoor Stadium, Shah Alam, on the 23rd. Sales for tickets just started on December 12th, but it appears that resellers are already marking up the prices of these tickets in such sky-high amounts. The tickets on StubHub and Viagogo are reportedly selling at prices ranging between 1,000 ringgit and approximately 7,300 ringgit. Magpie Pro, the official website, however, has priced Blackpink tickets according to the following zones of the Melawati Indoor Stadium, starting from 273 to approximately 693 ringgit. Now, remember the last mishap on a British Airways flight in September when the cabin was filled with smoke and flight crews were forced to put on smoke hoods for oxygen during the flight? Well, recently a similar incident occurred in India when a flight was forced to make an emergency landing after smoke began to fill the cabin mid-air, resulting in, of course, terrified passengers. Now, the scene was captured by Twitter user Halder_Subhamoy on a video which has gone viral since Wednesday. The Indigo flight 6E237, carrying 136 passengers, was traveling from Jaipur to Kolkata. And in the 30-second video, the cabin can be seen filling up with smoke as the landing gear can be heard emerging. And upon landing, some passengers were evacuated by the inflatable slide, while others left from the front of the plane. Fortunately, though, no passengers were injured in the incident, while the cause of the smoke remains under investigation. And now, updated as of 7 p.m., here are the top trending topics and searches on the internet today. Foreign investors are expected to flock to the Southeast Asian market amid rising global trade tensions, slowing economic growth in Europe, and a strong US dollar, which have weighed on international equities. Online equities broker Rakuten Trade Sundiran Berhad said this bodes well for the local bourse, which provides a more favorable environment compared with its regional peers. Speaking at a briefing on the stock market outlook, its research head Kenny Yee said sound government policies coupled with cheap local currency serves as a pull factor that will draw foreign investors into the local stock market.
I think again, with more clarity in terms of policies from the government, more confidence statements, from the government. Maybe that also induce a participation of foreign money into Malaysia. Because at the moment we are certainly trading at very reasonable valuations, as compared to our previous average.
He said the FTSE Bursa Malaysia KLCI, which closed at 1,674 points today, is expected to settle at 1,780 points by year-end before climbing further to 1,840 points in 2019. On the local currency outlook, he said the ringgit is likely to bounce back between 4.05 and 4.1 against the US dollar before strengthening to 3.9 against the greenback next year. Children possess a number of natural gifts and talents, and it's important for parents to pay attention to their abilities and help to expand them so they feel supported in all areas of their life. The Malaysia Super Juniors Award 2019 Juniors Got Talent is a first-of-its-kind talent search and award presentation that provides a perfect platform to discover and empower children from all over the country. Organized by Elegante Muse International, together with Warga Biz and Executive Brand Partners Resources, the initiative is aimed at giving way for youngsters to nurture their hidden gifts.
Because I realized Malaysia got a lot of kids that have a talent, but don't have a good platform to show their talents. So now I create this platform is want to show them, show the world, show the Malaysia how talented of Malaysia kids. So because out there is too many of something like modeling and coloring or however singing contest, but that is not enough. The platform is not enough for them.
The main objective of the event is to discover children of various talents ranging from singing, artistry, dancing and acting. This will be the first of such events in 2019, and it will feature 2 categories for children aged 9 and below, as well as for children aged 10 till 15.
Nana, so ask your dad and moms to be part of us, sebab this can really build your confidence and explore yourself. Sebab I think Malaysian is very talented. Malaysian people is always talented, just that we don't have a place for them to show themselves.
Registration for the event has opened until February next year through the website ticket2u.com for those who are interested to participate and to find out more about the contest. What's more interesting, however, is the total 1 million ringgit worth of prizes that will be given out for the entire event.